now. What is going on, everybody? This is the Cloud9 podcast, season 6, episode 16. So, there was some other 2022 League of Legends offseason news that ended up coming out. And I wanted to make this episode primarily because there's a lot of, you can say negativity surrounding the LCS. I mean, there's always been negativity surrounding the LCS, as well as, the recent decisions to axe out certain broadcast personalities. It's been a really, really crazy ride with the LCS after all of these many years. Never did I thought to myself that the LCS would cut Dash, but keep Latigris and Mark Z and a few others. But you're cutting out one of the biggest personalities in the scene, and that being Dash, right? And I'm going to be going over everything that I know and a lot of things that I've obviously heard throughout the many years on the podcast and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll be going over all that stuff. There's not going to be much news that ended up happening outside of just what's been going on with the LCS, actually. I'm also going to be bringing up another thing that I wanted to talk about the last time we had an episode, but I had to kind of hone in on what I really wanted to go over, actually, because it was something very imperative that I thought about when I was going over the Travis Gafford video. Because the Travis Gafford video, what I really noticed was there was something there that I didn't talk about in last week's episode. But as you guys who already know me, I put out a post on my community tab earlier today, just letting you guys know what's going to be going on with the channel, just in case you didn't get a chance to watch my channel update video. I'm going to be obviously posting more on the channel community tab, actually. To be fair, I'm actually glad YouTube unlocked that, because before you had to have 1,000 subscribers to even unlock that. So I'm glad that they realized, hey, we should probably, unlock this for, most channels, because if you don't really have a way of interacting with your audience, as much as you probably should, then things will obviously get left in the dark. So I'm going to be going over this Doublelift video as well, and we'll be going over all of the biggest news that ended up happening earlier this week. But for anyone who was wondering why didn't I cover this news in a 10-minute news video fashion pertaining to Phreak and Dash and Pastry Time, was that there was plenty of other news I had to cover right then at that moment, that this news just got kind of thrown under the bus, not because I didn't want to cover it, but it was mostly due to the fact that I was just really, really busy. I've been very busy, as you guys already know. So that's just what I'm pretty much just gonna leave it at that. And moving forward, I will be more on top of that, getting out the news to you guys in a timely fashion. But yeah, we're supposed to be having the season kickoff on the 10th and the 11th. That's what Riot put out earlier today. But I'm going to be going over that right now. Let me go to the stream and then obviously get that done for you guys. Because when you watch these on the replay, make sure that if you are new, you obviously subscribe, smash the like button. These streams, my goal, obviously is to have 5 likes. So yeah, 5 likes is, usually the goal. Let's see, smash the like button. 5 likes is the goal. Let's see. I'm gonna put this 100 thieves. 100 thieves. God damn, thieves suck and Cloud9 are kings. There we go. There we freaking go. So if you are watching, that's all I asked, right? So it's also imperative to go over the other various things that I should probably go over when I'm covering in this Cloud9 podcast episode, because a lot of people just genuinely won't know, because they're probably gonna go like, wait, why aren't these people like casting the LCS anymore? And what's been really going on in terms of like Riot and everything, right? But don't worry, I will definitely let you know. Okay, so right now, one of the biggest things that ends up happening with the LoL esports scene is that this is what a lot of people dedicate their life to. And since you dedicate your life to this, you have like they follow on social media. You want to be involved more with the game. You want to apply at Riot to become a shoutcaster, League of Legends, or a color caster, obviously. Now, since most people in the scene have dedicated their entire lives to this, Riot knows that, and Riot as a company has a very, very big ego. Now, two things play out here. Riot has a very big ego, and they know that they have a monopoly on the market when it comes to this game and esports as a whole, because this is the biggest esport, obviously, not just in North America, obviously, but, around the world. So if you want to work for the company, there's going to be no shortage of people that will want to do that. So there's a reason why certain things have happened throughout the years that a lot of you guys just don't see, or you don't really fully get, because it's not really ever publicized, right? So during the LEC 2022 summer split, remember when Shox wasn't on the analyst desk, or she wasn't hosting? It was because she was trying to negotiate a better rate for herself, to get paid more in the LEC. Shox is a veteran esports personality within the League of Legends scene, and you get a certain rate that Riot gives you. A day rate being that fact that, most people are just contractors, right? So you're a contractor, you get paid for your job on the day, and that's that, right? Well, you also have to factor in a lot of more different things when it comes to that. You also have to factor in the cost that it costs to run a studio too. And the reason why I use the Shox example is because Shox wasn't even on the analyst desk or hosting the desk for about 4 weeks into the LEC 2022 summer split. And I think her management team and Riot finally settled on a price that she was willing to settle on, right? But then the LEC goes and hires gets plenty of other people for the broadcast desk, because Riot wants to give the impression that they are the only player in town for League of Legends. You know that, they know that, and there's no shortage of people, and they could essentially hire whoever they want, right? So they could essentially pay you whatever they want, because they know that that they're going to be the company that you have to work for if you want to be popular in League of Legends, right? So this is also something else where I think Monte Cristo alluded to this, that being the fact that we were going to be seeing changes in the LCS, given the fact that the LCS is going to be considerably downsizing. Now, the LCS has been in a frenzy these last couple of years, but in terms of like just the casters, right? Casters get paid a day rate, and then once you get paid the day rate, that's pretty much it. Or you're usually on some yearly contract, as what the past was like. And they also chose to axe out certain things in their budget due to the fact that, they took away the lock-in tournament. They've also taken away the All-Star tournament. We haven't had All-Stars, obviously, since 2019 or 2020, actually, because, having All-Stars at the end of the year can contribute to, player burnout. And I liked All-Stars. I liked the idea of it, but All-Stars wasn't good for a very, very long time. I think the last good All-Star event was 2018, 2017, the last time. But yeah, I'm personally glad they got rid of it, because it really had lost its flavor and it lost its luster over a long period point in time. But yeah, that's the general gist of casters, is that these guys are really dedicated to the scene, and they want to be big in League of Legends, and they want to work in League of Legends. And Riot wants to only pay casters a certain amount of money. And then when you try to negotiate more money, given whatever type of social media status that you have, they could easily go, yeah, we don't need you. We'll just get somebody else. You know, that's generally how it works, though. So much so to the point where they're going to get rid of Dash, who is easily the most talented member on the broadcast desk, one of the most talented broadcast desk members in the entirety of competitive League of Legends. I had been, watching Dash and following Dash since I started watching competitive League of Legends all the way back in like 2014, which was the 2014 League of Legends World Championship. So seeing Dash, who I thought was just a staple in League of Legends, now going on to have sparingly not so often appearances in the LCS and League of Legends as a whole is just flat out ridiculous. That's the crazy part about it, is that there's so much parity within the scene that a staple member that you've been looking at for a lot of years could easily just not be in the scene anymore. That's the crazy part about this, is that Riot has a very big ego, and looking at all of the issues that we'll be looking at with the LCS going forward into this year, I mean, there's a lot of, skepticism around this decision. There's a lot of other things that we need to bring up, obviously, but that's just the general gist of like caster rates versus like Riot themselves. Riot knows they could just get any single person who will accept any rate, right? And also, we got to factor in not just independent contractors, but how much it costs to actually run the LCS studio, I think was something that a lot of people also brought up. Now, factor this in. The LCS studio is based in, California, right? So it costs a lot of money to run the LCS studio that is in Los Angeles, right? But even if it was ran in another state, in another place, that wouldn't really matter. Specifically because things now cost a lot of money. Inflation is very high. Things in general have had their prices really raised in like the last couple of years. So even if the LCS studio was somewhere in like Chicago or New York City or any other big city that has a lot of fans for League of Legends there, it wouldn't really matter, honestly. Like, even if you put the studio in something like Arizona, it wouldn't really matter. Like, even if you ran the studio literally where I live, it would cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost you a lot of money in general to run the studio, pay the production talent, run the lights, run the studio, food, accommodation, your talent. Costs a lot of money in general. So I understand what a lot of people say when they're talking like, okay, let's just move the broadcast desk. Sorry, not the broadcast desk. Let's just move the LCS studio out of California or out of LA. Now, yes, LA is in particular more expensive to run things in than other cities, right, in California, but it's still going to be the same thing. And then there's a reason why it's also based in LA, because that is going to be your biggest draw for just an audience in esports in general. If you have your target demographic, when you learn about those things in school, they teach you the reason why you do things based off demographics is because you want to get the biggest audience in general. Plus, like, LA seems to be the hub of just esports in general. So there's reasons why that the LCS studio is in Los Angeles, and it doesn't really mean anything if it's anywhere else, because it's going to be the same level of issues and the same level of problems anyway, because in general, people want to get paid a good amount of money. You have production talent, security, you're paying the people to run the food stands. There's a lot of things, guys. It doesn't really matter if it's ran in California in general. It would just cost a lot of money just outright, right? So you have casters, the LCS, and then the LCS has not performed very well internationally ever since I've been watching the LCS. Like, the LCS already didn't perform well internationally before even I watched it, which was 3 years prior. And then ever since I was watching the LCS, it has not performed very well at Worlds or MSI almost ever. Yeah, you have your CLG and your Team Liquids that did very well at MSIs 2016 and 2019 when they did finish at those high placing positions, right? Cloud9 has been the outlier at Worlds for North America. Multiple top 8 finishes, the top 4 finish at Worlds 2018. Really is something that a lot of people look at as a good accomplishment for the LCS, but just in general, the LCS has not really ever performed very well at Worlds. And it doesn't really matter about Europe. I know a lot of people like to tie this to Europe a lot. It doesn't really matter. I don't care what Europe is doing. I care what the LCS is doing. The LCS has not performed very well at Worlds, and even just at this year at Worlds, it was very, very imperative. We're fucking garbage. You know? We're just complete trash, obviously, right? So, you know, this other thing that was brought up last week by, I think it was James, he was bringing this up, where, like, casuals, you know, won't really know about, like, competitive League of Legends, right? And, like, if you put a good team in front of them, they won't really know. But there's two different parodies to that. There's two different reasons why I don't really agree with that. For one, if you're listening to a broadcast desk and a casual is just listening to, you know, the casters, the LCS is known not to be good, and the other casters on the analyst desk make it very much apparent, and we know the LCS is not good. Like, you watching the LCS, you know it's not good, and even if you don't really understand the quality of gameplay, it's not really going to matter, because the LCS proves it at World Championships every year or at MSIs. So even if a casual can't understand what's really going on in terms of, like, why is the LCS considered bad, it's not going to matter, because the LCS proves itself bad at MSIs and World Championships. So it doesn't matter. So that point is there. Also, understanding that the genuine interest in the LCS has not been there for quite some time. So I know a lot of people were talking about the time slot changes.
Right? Is that the LCS or is that league in general?
Could be a combination of both, really.
I think it's more league in general, because
but league is popular worldwide, though. So
worldwide, but it's like, but in America, it's kind of like with soccer. It's like, do we just don't care about it because we're either not good or just people
just not interested? Maybe.
Yes, like
interest fades so fast with people. It's like something could be popular right now and then just fade away. Remember those things called fidget spinners we used to have?
Yeah.
That was a fad for like a week and it just died out.
Yep.
Then the other thing to factor in, because I know people talked about the time slot change. Now, people are so disingenuous. It blows my brain. Now, I agree. The time slot change is bad. I don't like it either. The days, I'm fine with. I'm fine with the days. I'm not fine with the time slot change. Now, the thing to factor in for everyone, and I want you to firmly understand this, we've had the LCS on Saturday and Sunday at what, 2 p.m. PST? Is that when it started, right? Yeah, about 2 o'clock. All right. Forever, right? Now, let's look at just the last 3 years, right? Oh, look, actually, whatever, fuck it. I'll do my example I did in my video. Let's look at the last year for the LCS. When on YouTube, it would peak at like what, 25K, 20K average, right? Then for like really, really shitty matches, it would drop to like 17K, okay? Now, people have been very, very vocal that if you change this, they can't watch and all other shit. Not realizing they didn't watch then. They didn't watch this year. The LCS was primetime slots Saturday and Sunday this year at a time slot that most people deemed that they could watch it, right? At a good time, and the viewership didn't increase. Like at all. Like it just didn't. Because the main reason is, and I brought this up last week, this is the main reason. People are not interested in the LCS as much as the other regions. Because the other regions, for me personally, come on at really inopportune times. We're talking like crack of dawn when I'm fucking at work, or
okay, let's break it down. There's more Europeans out there. There's more viewers.
I'm talking about the time slot to change over into it's not in my best interest to watch European League of Legends because
but
the
that's
time
not
slot
disparity. But see, even the disparity is like messed up, because like even with LEC, it's like we don't know how those people are from America watch it. We'll like same thing with LCK, same thing with LCL.
LCK, even if you don't want to take in us, the viewership is still way better Like for even average games, they're peaking out better than LCS games.
Yeah, the
like
Koreans,
even for right. So even in teams that no one cares about, they have more viewers. Even teams no one gives a fuck about in general.
But the thing is, we don't know where the viewers are coming from. That's me.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. It's not just about where they're coming from. It's just the fact that they're watching the league more, right? Just the fact that they're watching the league more. I'm not talking about like where they're coming from because that's a weird. Because we never know. They're not really going to tell you, essentially.
But that's the thing, though. It's like,
but that does show you that even in inopportune time zones, inopportune time zones.
That might be inopportune for us, but that might be perfect for someone else in a different region. Right.
But it also shows through view, or we could use it through the NBA, WNBA example, right? More people are just interested in watching the guys' shit, and just in general, and the viewership shows it. Most people are not interested in watching the girls play. That sounds kind of sexist, but hey, that's what the numbers say. And if you ask average people, most of them ain't gonna know who the fuck's in the WNBA in general. But that's an entirely different conversation. But I think just in general, a lot of people just don't want to admit this on Twitter or in social media. There's no interest in the league anymore. It's sad to say. That's just my opinion. People are gonna probably disagree with me. That's fine. I'm open to disagreements. Okay, but I think that if the LCS had enough interest in it, if people who actually give a shit about it, they'd watch more. They just would.
I don't think people are interested in League of Legends anymore like that. I don't think it's just LCS. It's like
that takes like shit there for a second. God damn. Fuck. But
that's apparently the numbers are down according all over.
The thing here is a lot of people on Twitter were like, yeah, if you move this is a death of the LCS. You motherfuckers didn't watch now. These guys didn't watch then. I love how all these people come up.
Are you watching on YouTube or Twitch? Because Twitch had higher views a lot of times.
I think Twitch always has higher views. Yeah, for me personally, it's both. I would watch on the LoL Esports account that I have to get the rewards, but I would mostly watch on YouTube.
Okay,
so I'd have both of them going. I'd watch for the rewards on Twitch and then would watch on YouTube.
Twitch at times, if you go LCS and you go Riot Games, and that's the same thing I was saying is sometimes Riot Games will shoot themselves in the foot by putting it on their fucking don't live
viewership. Yeah, you're right. I forgot to bring that up too. We call it the co-streaming that they do. Co-streaming and diversing the viewership also hurts it too. Now, I'm not saying it's all just interest, but the interest for me is up here, right? So you have interest. Then we also have co-streaming. That happens too, which is what you just brought up. I almost forgot it too. You have co-streaming as well as the viewership just being diluted. People don't want to watch that's why I said the interest is the highest one, because why would someone go watch the co-streamers? They don't want to watch the actual broadcast desk, right? Which is supposed to be professional. Viewers are like, I don't want to watch this broadcast deck. I'd rather watch a guy talk to me about it, actually. That yes, they were all former pro players. That's another added bonus to that. But they'd rather not watch the broadcast product itself, and they would rather watch they'd rather watch someone else tell you what's going on than the people that are actually doing it. That is very telling. That is very concerning.
It happens in all sports, though. Sometimes
right, but they're trying to actually increase their viewership. So this is like for like NBA and NFL, they already have their set viewers. They're always going to watch. That's just they're embedded for life actually with that, you know. So the thing here is what they should. I'm not advocating for co-streaming rights to be going away. I don't want that. But if you're trying to gain some viewership back, you might want to tone down on that. You just want to, because people are choosing to watch that other person or other people other than your actual people you're hiring. Remember, keep this in mind. They're paying people massive money to be there on that desk and tell you what's going on. But people are going, you know what? I don't want that. I want the other guy who's behind a YouTube channel with a microphone out of his basement telling you what's going on. You know? Like, that tells you how good the product of the LCS actually is, or that just tells you how good those people doing the co-streaming are. It could be a combination of both. Could be, right? It's a bit of balance, but I don't really watch co-streaming too much. I just watch the broadcast. I'm fucking lazy. But also diversifying their viewership has been a bad thing for them. That's pretty much most of it too. Also, communication is really bad with the LCS. It's really, really bad. So, communication, that being the fact that they don't really understand what the American audience wants. What does the American audience want? For what they should stop doing is stop going on Twitter and listening to these fucking woke, left, weirdo, blue-haired fucking losers on Twitter. Please stop doing that. I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to say is people on Twitter that they're probably basing a lot of this information around should not be an arbiter of what you should run your product off of. Because people on Twitter say there is something and they're really not. All these people that say they were watching the LCS might have been. Who knows? The viewership shouldn't reflect that. I mean, because the reason why we know it didn't reflect it because they're actually changing the days themselves, right? So I think they should probably stop paying attention to woke weirdos on the internet and actually understand what is your product actually going to entail. You know, what is your product based around? What does the North American audience want? Not what Twitter weirdos want, not those people who lie and say they watch and most likely don't, but I can't really pinpoint that, so I can't really say, but it's okay. So the LCS, there's some skepticism around it, and you know, I think they'll most likely change the days or change the time slots if the viewership doesn't increase. I predict by the LCS 2023 summer split, if the viewership numbers don't increase by whatever metric they have or whatever metric they set for themselves, they'll change the time slots. Not the days themselves. The days themselves are staying, but I think the time slots will actually change. I think if you push the time slots to about 2-3 o'clock, that'd be better, but they want European viewers to watch, so that's going to be another problem. But that's just me personally. What do you think, man? I know I've been talking a lot, but what do you think, dude? I think Chaz is probably dead. Maybe he might be dead. I don't know. Just depends, Robbie. What do you guys think in the chat? What do you guys think? Huh. I reported your poll for terrorism. Oh, Lord, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so those are my general opinions when it comes to the LCS right now. The LCS is also something of, how would you say it? I think the LCS has much other concerns even within the teams themselves, right? Bad general, like in general, teams nobody wants to watch play at all is a very big factor. You also must consider the fact that, you know, most people are really only interested in a few teams, and that's fine. That's how most leagues are going to be. But the format is very stale. They're going back. They're going to BO1s again. You know, but people have said, why don't they do BO3s like they used to? Because that runs the studio longer, more money, and it's not really financially a feasible decision they want to do right now because of the costs associated with running the studio longer for BO3s. Like, because if one BO3 goes longer than another, just running the studio longer. Also, the viewership wasn't there for BO3s. I think BO3s would make the LCS a whole lot better in terms of the teams themselves. I think it really does give you the best indicator of who the best teams really are for how many BO3s they actually play. I would say, even if you don't want to go to a BO3 format, I would personally say go to a format where you have groups of teams and you also have them play it out like that. I would say that. BO2s, I think would be also pretty cool. You know, like just experiment with a different format, you know? But that's just me, personally. What do you guys say? Trust me, LCS is dying because TSM is not a top team anymore since 2018. Yeah, TSM has only won one title since franchising, which was the LCS 2020 summer split when they brought back in Double Lift. But yeah, those are my general, you know, opinions about the LCS, because like it's very disingenuous for people to be like, oh, I hate these time slot changes, when it's very shown that the numbers didn't really increase anyway. You know, the number was still the same. So like on some level, I can understand why they changed the days. People just weren't really watching like that, you know? Is it an interest? Is it a league thing? I don't really know, you know? I mean, the latter tells me it's interest because the other products for the other competition is just way more interesting, you know? That's just me. I like watching the LCS. I do, but it's one of these things you got to go and be like, do you really care about this league? The LCS hasn't really shown that they care a lot about how the personality of the broadcast has been going, how like certain personalities weren't really put at the forefront of the league. I mean, you had people like Dyrus, I'm a Cutie Pie, Double Fitness Prime, all these great league personalities in their prime, and then the LCS not even use that to their advantage. Even just these past years without Double Lift and the one without Bjergsen, this was their perfect opportunity to use that to potentially catapult other players to success, actually, in terms of like, this is the face of the league. That didn't happen either. And then that's another thing. That's a problem, is we need more faces of the league that are more recognizable. Is it because of content? Is it because of streaming? The team side of it for content for them hasn't really been all there either. But here was this double lift video that we are going to be going over, and then I will be obviously commenting over it myself. All right, let's go with this. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. What the fuck is that? All right. Let's go. Yeah, getting rid of Dash is just idiotic. I don't think anybody wants that.
After nearly a decade of being the face that welcomes you to the LCS, it is with a swirl of emotions that I announce I will not be returning to the LCS in the same capacity this year. I know there will immediately be many questions around why this is, but in short, the new direction of the LCS doesn't have a need for a consistent host. Having said that, I will still be involved from time to time for key moments and some content. My team is in active discussions with Riot to figure out more ways we can work together in 2023, as I want to be involved with the LCS as much as I possibly can. In much of the same way I found myself serendipitously a part of LCS, I am now moving on to the next chapter of my career. For the first time in 10 years, I'm available to branch out and work on new things. I'll be discussing what that could be, as well as answering any questions you may have on my stream today.
So right here, it's crazy how... So apparently the LCS might be changing up the broadcast desk where it doesn't need a consistent host, but you're still going to need people who essentially can carry the side of it. So they might want to have 4 people, right? And if all of them don't really have a consistent driving force, can they really do it, honestly? And also, I think Dash should be, if you're going to try and not have a need for a consistent host, then why not have Dash a part of the other people who is in your rotation? I think, I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
Today, okay, links to Twitch, and then he says, I'm exceedingly grateful to Riot for taking a chance on a relative nobody 10 years ago, giving me the time, support, and opportunity to grow into the host that I am today. Thanks for the love and support thus far. Can't wait for what's next. Stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. That's interesting. What does it mean when they say that LCS doesn't have a need for a consistent host anymore? It feels like if they didn't really like him to be the host, they should have just replaced him. But the way it's worded sounds like they're downsizing. Uh-oh. Maybe downsizing is kind of expected a little bit. But that's weird.
Yeah, the LCS has been showing that they're trying to downsize. That's true. Because this we got to factor in. I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I'm not trying to shit on this lady. You're going to get rid of Dash as a non-consistent part of the desk, but you're going to keep Tigris? Bruh? Are we living in the same universe?
It's probably because of money. We don't have any idea.
I mean, that would be the most recent thing. Like, maybe he was like, hey, I need some more money. I feel like I've been contributing to this desk for 10 years. I'm still making the same amount of money. Can I get a raise? They were like, you know what? Yeah, these other guys will do your job at the same pay. No. And also, since you wanted a raise, since we're fucking evil devil worshippers at Riot, you're kind of technically fired. Bruh. What is this? I'm just saying, holy shit.
Does that mean that this, the in-between and the intro time is, just going to be different than it is now? I think it's really jarring to have multiple hosts, personally. It's every fucking day, there's, just... That was him and not Phreak. I think Phreak's also gone, right? That he announced he's going to go into game dev, and then they're... I'm assuming they kind of, work together on the messaging for that one. But I don't know, actually. I have no idea. I'm assuming LCS, is just cutting a lot of people. I feel like the general sentiment towards Dash is it's really good, and people really like him. the part where he says like he didn't feel like they respected him back, I do agree. Like what personal preferences aside, I think he's good. I'm not like married to the idea of really anyone being on broadcast. I feel like yeah, that's just like show business, like no one is completely irreplaceable, but I think he's good. The part where he says like there's no respect given, he didn't feel like the respect was mutual. That part really sucks. I don't really know what's going on there, because if I'd like brainstorm a few reasons, it would be like budget cuts. Like somebody's got like they got to remove some people, they got to replace some people, and also they probably have to cut the hours of some people. And maybe Dash falls into the category of like, well, we don't want to replace him because he's good, but like he just got the short end of the stick in terms of budget. But then it's like if they just communicated that with them and really apologetically just told him like, it is what it is. The budget went down and the viewership's down. Everyone knows. Esports budgets all getting cut. It's a bad time right now to be in the business of esports. So that feels like way different than the way he's describing it. I feel like he's such a professional. He wouldn't even really go into like the nitty gritty details. But it's like if he says he didn't feel like that he got any respect, or he got the same respect back, then yeah, it must have been pretty tough. Pretty honestly unprofessional. Yeah, I agree. It's a bit embarrassing. Isidru, thanks to the 21 months. Riot didn't try to negotiate with Dash at all before cutting his role. See, that is a clickbait title. They probably just summarized some of the shit he said on his stream, right? To be honest, outside of League though, like what is like a good NA esports friend to be hosting? I feel like Valorant already has one. I don't know who it is, but they probably already have one. Call of Duty, I don't know. What else is there, guys? Dota only has one major tournament that really can make him a decent amount of money throughout the year. CS:GO, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these big esports already have their hosts. Maybe they're not happy with them, and he can find work.
The thing here is when you dedicate your entire life to this, I mean, going and learning another esport from scratch, learning about the community, narratives, all that stuff, is going to be very, very, very imperative, I just don't understand what's the need to cut your most consistent face. Like Doublelift, Bjergsen, Sneaky, all these other players you guys remember, face of the LCS, right? Well, Dash is such a recognizable face of the LCS, and I get it. No one's not replaceable, right? I understand that, but you replace people who obviously aren't as good. I think that should be a key factor as well, But one of the things also is the LCS might recruit new faces. That's another thing that might also play into consideration as well. People have asked for new people to join the analyst desk, or maybe they might grab new color casters, or they might just downsize entirely to just less people. They're going to put more of the workload on the fewer people that are going to be on the analyst desk and the about the play-by-play. So you know how like you would have like 2 play-by-play casters go through the first 2 games, and then you have 2 more do the rest of the games. They might just have 2 casters do the 3 games and then have the other 2 casters do the other 2, or you might just simply have 2 casters do all the games, because it will be logically more cheaper to get 2 casters to do all the games rather than just doing 2 casters then 2 more. The LCS also had their budget slash due to the FTX sponsorship deal basically falling through.
Yep.
That really hurt them. Like if you go through all the legal finances of that with the FTX deal, oh my God. Because remember, the LCS said that was their biggest sponsor in history. In history. They were going to have a lot of money in their budget through last year and 2023,
Yeah.
So that's money that they're not going to have in their budget, and that creates a big hole in there. So if they were making financial decisions around that budget, now they don't have that, and you factor in, oh, we got to make some cuts. Now, I think Chaz, you'll know this too. Around like 2018, all these like venture capitalists started coming into the scene. Not just esports, a lot of things, streaming, movies, books, a lot of things, right? Then around the jobs surrounding these businesses, people started getting these job positions based off all this investment into these scenes based off the premise of what was the premise? Potential. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. All this money invested into esports because of potential. Because esports, back when I was still learning all this stuff, was slated to be a growth industry. Well, how much can esports really grow if there's not more people sinking more money to the league? Your venture capitalists already sunk in enough money at the beginning, and they're going to be wanting a possible return on that investment very soon. You know, certain teams, when they join the league, they have to pay a lump sum fee of $10 million just to have a permanent slot in the LCS. You can sell the slot for a lot more money than you bought it in. That is true. That has happened. But the thing here is, like, who has the money right now to just buy a slot? You know?
Yep.
Right? Then you also factor in, when it came to like all of this, you know, venture capitalist investment, even just into esports in general, a lot of these esport orgs, when they got this bigger funding, they had all these jobs they created. I mean, we saw that one girl who was working for FaZe Clan on Twitter. She announced that, hey guys, randomly my job at this org is just gone. So I'm now unemployed. That's it. That's how fast people's jobs could just be gone in esports, you know?
Yeah.
But a lot of these jobs were created based off the fact that you had all this investment coming because people thought it was going to be a lot more bigger than it is. Yes, the investment did help. I don't disagree with that. The investment helped because it brought the scene to another level it was most likely not going to be in. Now, people said that's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword because the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of people said they liked it before when it didn't have the investment into it, but you guys have to factor in, without that investment, we wouldn't really probably be at this point either, because you need money to survive in an industry. This is kind of how it works, you know?
But yeah, when you inflate the company, when you inflate something, it gets bigger, it gets, you know, a lot more profitable, knowledgeable. But the minute that money gone, it has to go back to where it was before. And see, that's the thing. When you inflate something with people coming in and putting money into it, you only have a certain amount of time unless you can sustain that money growth. And that's the issue. And they inflated it with money that felt like it was being laundered through companies. That's what it felt like. These venture capitalists were laundering money through these esports, and it was only a matter of time.
Blizzard had it too. Blizzard had it too. You were watching COD. Do you remember the price they were charging these teams to get into the COD League?
Oh,
guys,
Jesus.
let's break this down. COD. I've watched the COD team before. Actually, a very, 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 very fun league. Yeah. No discredit to those guys, but that COD League, that franchise COD League, were selling teams to get to the permanent partnerships more money than the LCS. Now, for instance, League of Legends, which is one of the most popular esports of all time, tons of viewership. So the $10 million investment into the LCS is like, okay, I understand this based off the popularity around the game. COD, which is less popular competitively, had a franchise league, and you know what their permanent slots charged? Not 10 million, not 16 million, not 20 million. They charged $25 million for a Call of Duty slot in their league. You're telling me a Call of Duty permanent partnership slot is worth more than an LCS slot? An LCS slot at 10 million is already, that's tomfuckery. That's what Stormy would say. That's some tomfuckery prices right there. 10 million for League of Legends is already ridiculous in itself. $25 million for a COD spot. Overwatch did it too. Overwatch's slots were like 20 million a piece.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you break that down into an industry standard. Let's just break it down for you guys. Now you guys are on other stuff. Okay, so you have all these venture capitalists give this money to these orgs. They give it to the game developers and the companies to get these franchise leagues going. Okay, now if you add in 25 million times 10 teams for the COD League, right? That's going to be
2.5 billion.
Billion?
Trust me, $2.5 million.
Million?
I've already done the math on that.
Sorry, billion or million?
Million. $2.5 million.
25 times 10, right?
Oh, 25 times 10?
Right. It's 10 teams in the league, and that's 25 million for each slot.
That's 250. That's quarter of $1 billion. That's 250 million.
Yep. You factor in all these venture capitalists, they're gonna, unless they're filthy stinking rich, which most of you guys really are, they're gonna want their money back. They're gonna be like, hey, in 10 years, where's my investment? You know?
Shit,
That
10 years.
Shark.
Like
If you guys watch Shark Tank, the people that get the Shark Tank deals, they pay those guys back. They do. They have a date, or the investor goes into the business. They're like, "Hey,
they got a
money."
date, or they got a percentage that they have to hit in a certain time, and then that money.
I'm not just giving you money just for the sake. I'm just giving you money. You know
what it is it's two ways. You're either paying them until you hit the percentage. Initially, that's what you're always going to be in the red, or you make your money and then you cut them whatever amount you owe. Either way, yeah. I remember when Scully had $250 million. I'm looking at it like these fucking orgs are a lot of money.
$25 million for a slot. I don't know who was doing the COD leagues, financials, or how they were structuring this league. I don't know how a guy went up to these org owners and were like, you know what? I know COD has less viewership than League in general. I know that. But our slots are worth $25 million. That guy pulled that number out of his ass. Wrote it out of his ass. 25 million? So that means it's a COD slot is worth more than an Overwatch League spot, which is already probably worthless in general. We know orgs want to get out of that. Like within a year, right after London Spitfire won, orgs are like, I kind of want to get out of this. I don't see the growth in this industry because they were sold a pipe dream. That's what esports is to a lot of these guys. You were sold a pipe dream by probably a bunch of scam artists, but that's a different discussion for another day.
Yep.
But the thing is, esports is supposed to be a growth industry, right? And if there's no growth in the industry, particularly when it comes to League of Legends, how's that going to be fair for the other esports too? Now, I don't think the LCS is trying. Okay, I don't think Riot wants the LCS to die. I truly don't think that. But these actions show otherwise. Just saying.
I don't think they want it to die, but I think they have no idea on how to keep it alive. That's
how to improve it too.
Yeah, I don't think they have any idea. It's
hard because they've neglected this. These problems have been happening for years. This is just like what's that saying? Straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back. These problems have existed for years, all these years. Because they were soling teams on, because there was a relegation system in League before, right? Or like you had 10 teams, and if you finish like 10th or out of the league, first team from Challenger League would get in. Permanent partnerships mean no relegation, right? So you're factoring in, okay, no relegation, our investment is secure, but you factor in after about 5 years, we've had permanent franchising. I'd imagine all those slots are fully paid for at this point now.
Yeah.
So what's the money? Where's the money gone to? So you've had all the original 10 teams paying that $10 million, but they didn't pay $10 million up front. Most of it was payment over time. But where's this money going to? Going to fucking people's wallets and they're taking vacations? I don't fucking know, because it's not improving the league. Where's this money really going to? You gotta factor in. Esports is a lot of esport stories I can go over where it's scams, but this industry has kind of a lot of grifters in it, and grifter being the one where it's like you swindle people. I'm not saying LCS does that, but it's gonna feel that way to investors for these teams when they'll get their money back, And these org owners are gonna be very, very angry about how they're. I mean, Nate Shots brought this up too. I think a lot of other owners that we know prominent brought it up. They're not kind of super happy with how the league's been running itself. They're not happy with the way the LCS has been going.
I mean, plus also you invested in a company that went belly up in less than 5 years. Like, that's also not a good sign either.
Right? Yeah. That's the problem. It's like I mean, a lot of people bought into the hype of League of Legends, and it made sense, right? It made sense to do it, but the problem here is all the decisions to squander all the money that they've probably gotten for these teams is ridiculous. Like, Studio still looks the same after 5 years. It's still the same dog shit format. Everything is essentially the same with franchising, except for the fact that you can't get relegated. And teams essentially, sat splits, like Spring Split particularly, just that they can't get they know they can't get relegated, so they put up a dog shit roster, just like they know they can't get relegated. Riot can't kick them out. The reason why, how the rules state that if you have bottom 4 finishes, you can just kick you out. They could kick you out, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna do that. People know why they're not gonna do that. There's no one to replace the person in. They're not gonna do it. There's no one to replace them. So kicking them out would mean you just have 9 teams. I know Sean, he was like, well, they could just expand to 12 to 14 teams. No, Sean, they can't do that. There's no money. There's no money. We're fucking broke. There's no money.
Yeah.
These orgs don't have that kind of money. They're fucking, not saying all broke, but that kind of investment that Riot would need, they don't have it. They don't have $10 million. They flat out just don't have the money.
Plus, most of these companies' first interests are not even League of Legends anymore. It's like, well, 100 Thieves is doing better than Valorant.
They make more of their money through Valorant, the streamers
CS:GO,
themselves.
Call of Duty. It was like they just won I think Call of Duty World Championship, or they won the LCS and Valorant. It was like, what the fuck we need League for? It's like,
yeah, that's why
it's funny how Cloud9 beats 100 Season and League of Legends, but we beat Cloud9 and Valorant.
Right, yeah.
It's 3-0. Ain't that a bitch?
And didn't Cloud9 just get rid of their female Valorant team?
Yeah.
Are they just getting rid of? Are they moving out of the whole Valorant female thing in general?
The league's just not. It's not competitive enough. Plus, it's just not. It's not.
No viewers. It's not sustainable. A lot of people factor in business is a sustained thing too. So, like, I can give you as an example of Air July. Probably know him. The whole Riververse thing. I do agree with him. While being a capitalist, you got to go where the money is, and your business should be a vehicle for profit, because that's how you can be able to sustain your business. That's just how it works, right? And I know people have been like, well, why don't they just add more teams? You can't add more teams for two reasons why. One, they need $10 million to buy a slot. Then, to even be part of the league, another team would have to sell their slot too. So one, you have to have someone sell the slot. Another team would have to have the money to buy the slot for more than what the slot is worth. So you would need at least 15 million, right? Let's go scroll through all of them. Team would want to sell. Team has to find a buyer. Team has to have more money than what the slot is actually worth. Then the teams themselves have to negotiate on the price that's fair for them, right? You know how much money Evil Geniuses got into the league for? 30 million.
Yeah.
They paid Evil Geniuses paid 30 million to be in the league after Echo Fox lost his slot with Rick Fox, who owned that org. So yeah, you just can't add more teams. Even in the LEC, you just can't add more teams unless someone sells, and you have to buy the slot more than what it's worth, right? It's just how the industry is, and it came from all these venture capitalists selling these people on dreams of potential. I love it. I love how people are that stupid. I love how people are so fucking stupid. I love it. Now, I don't know why Riot decided that 10 million was a fair number for these league slots. I guess they were thinking like esports will just blow up and be the biggest thing ever, and it'll reap the benefit. Like all the teams will get their money back. They'll invest in, but by the time in like 10 years, they'll get their money back. So by 2028, I feel like something else is going to blow up within the LCS, with certain people just pulling their funding. Sponsors have pulled out. Teams don't have as many sponsors as they used to. The guy in Gen G, you might follow him on Twitter. Remember, he said another big sponsor pulled out of the LCK.
Yeah.
Like, people factor in. He explains too. I'll link you this video too. I think you saw it, right? Did you watch the episode of the Monty and Wolf show where they had the Gen G CEO on? And he mentioned the fact that people asked how they pay for Chovy, because Chovy costs a lot of money. What did he say about how they pay for Chovy? Sponsors. Yeah. They pay with Chovy through sponsors. So if you don't have any sponsors, for the external money you might need for other expenses,
you let people go.
Mm-hmm. And all these fake jobs you created over the years because you thought it was going to be the biggest thing ever, all those fake jobs go away. That random guy you needed to put coffee on your desk, yeah, you're gone. I don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Do you think 10 million for a slot is a low price?
But it's like you start hiring extra people out because a fake job is like, vice president of janitorial services. I was like, that's a fake job. hire more content creators, or like some people.
Or see that too. Remember, we've seen esports cut content creators too.
100 Thieves, yeah, I know.
100 Thieves just this year. Remember how people were ragging on them because they let go a lot of their content creation side, not the streamers themselves, but the people behind the content creation itself.
But now there are streamers that are like, I know Tina Kitten left, or she left, and I know a few others are leaving. Like, I think what it is.
Do you think $10 million for a slot is a low price? I think it's overvaluing the slot. I think that's too much money. A lot of these
League of Legends,
a permanent franchising slot.
No, I think that's right at the pivotal point.
I think maybe I was gonna say 5 million.
Nah, no, 5 million is way too low.
I think so.
I think 10 should be the highest. I think 5 right at the point where it's like, all right, cool, we're coming in. If you're coming in with 5 million, you already got players on the league side that you're playing.
Oh, we forgot this. Oh my god, I'm glad you brought this up. There's also a reason why a lot of these teams don't have enough money. Esport player contracts are just. Pure fact, I know James brought this up, and I gotta explain this too. It doesn't matter if there's no salary cap. Now, there's a reason for that. The LPL has a salary cap. I think the LCK does. I'm pretty sure they don't because they're paying Faker a shitload of money. So the reason why a salary cap would be very imperative to the league is because the player contracts have gotten out of control. Dignitas back in 2020 were paying Huni $2.1 million. $2.1 million. Now, the contract was written in a way where it wasn't guaranteed because of certain stipulations, that being the fact that if he didn't make playoffs or all that sort of shit. But
it was incentive based.
Yeah, incentives, yeah. Remember Sword Art, when people say he made all that money, they paid Sword Art $6 million. They paid him $3 million because if he didn't reach the certain incentives, obviously we got the full thing.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But factor in, these orgs are paying a lot of money for players. I'm not saying the players don't deserve this money. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be getting the bag, but you gotta factor in. The reason why it matters to have a salary cap is because if these teams keep paying these overpriced contracts, that's going to catch up with them. How are you going to make that money back? All right, let's say I have a team. Let's say me and Chaz have a team, and I have fucking Jack brought this up earlier, but I'll go with my example first.
Yeah.
So we own a team, right? And every year I'm buying big LCK player. I'm buying 1 year. I'm buying Chovy. Next year I'm buying Showmaker. I'm buying fucking Def next year. How am I making this money back? This is the reason why you need a salary cap. And it is, and the argument of it not being there is bad, given the fact that that's going to hurt the org. They can't make their money back. That's the point. You need to obviously tone down the contract salaries. That's just how Jack even said they wanted to keep Jensen. They wanted to keep him. You know why they didn't keep him? It cost too much money. They were like, you know what? I'm sorry, bro.
I mean, that's more on the player and the agent themselves.
Actually. Right, yeah.
That's an agent problem. That's not, I mean, that.
But the player is like, hey, I want the bag. You know, a player who's playing for like 6 years will want the bag.
Because once you undercut yourself, you're going to constantly stay undercut yourself until you go to another place. It's like with Tom Brady. Tom Brady took pay cuts for years. The minute this motherfucker leaves for Tampa, he gets $25 million a year.
Right. See, that was the first time he tested the free market.
You tell me Tom Brady playing like shit this year, this motherfucker still making $25 million? Nigga, what?
That is the Patriots. They got off with
I mean, then again, the motherfuckers did.
They did actually dominate the league with Tom Brady. So, it's more like, wait a minute, you got all that out of that guy, and you were only paying him that amount of money? That's crazy to think about, right?
Plus, he was making all his money off the field anyway.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's like, it's like, but that's the biggest thing when it comes to shit like that. It's
like the NFL, they have a salary cap, guys. If I don't, esports wants to be traditional sports. Traditional sports have salary caps. There's a reason why.
Baseball does it, but
baseball really?
Baseball, but baseball's ridiculous.
Wait, that's
there was a motherfucker that there was a motherfucker who literally just 11 years, $300 million. I was like, wait a second, this motherfucker got that much? He ain't that good. There's like basketball.
Basketball for sure has a salary cap. I know that for sure. Right? Yeah.
No, they definitely need a salary cap, or else LeBron James be making $2 billion a fucking season. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because esports is with the LCS. We're gonna be like the NFL or like the NBA. Well, if you want to be like them, you need things that reflect them. They need salary caps.
If the LCK didn't have a fucking salary cap, Faker be making $20 million a fucking year.
He would definitely command $20 million a year.
You know the fucked up thing about it is most of these esport athletes or whatever you want, gamers, they make more than the WNBA. Ain't that a bitch?
You mean the top end or the bottom, or like the whole average in general?
Like, I don't know the bottom end, but I know top end.
I mean, the industry standard is like $70K. So
$70K is about like top 3 player in WNBA. WNBA don't make. I think the most. I think the most the WNBA player makes is $250 at the highest, maybe. Because because you gotta even think about it. Even when it comes to league, when it comes to sports, most of these athletes, like a bench warmer athlete's making $2 million. A guy who might never see he might only see 15 minutes a season is making more than a WNBA All Star, and that's because he could. If you made this motherfucker a Joanna man, he scored 45 a fucking game. Like you saw how it was with. And I tell people this: watch Joanna man. You saw how it was when a man dominated the fucking league as a woman. Like the best player was a man. That is and when it comes to league, it's like the salary has to have a cap because then any player that gets too good, they're going to be unvaluable and they're going to be hard to keep, but they're going to be hard to get rid of. You're going to be stuck at a point where you're going to have to have like it's going to be a point where you're going to have the one guy that's worth $5 million. And now you have to bring up your academy players who might only be paid $50,000 each.
But the thing here with that is like they want to play in the LCS, and their big break is playing in the LCS. That's what they always want to do. So they'll take it. They'll be on a contract where they're fine with it because they're finally playing in the LCS.
Yeah.
But a veteran player is like, hey, I finally want the bag. There's a reason why certain players left certain orgs to just get the bag. People think, Jensen left Cloud9 originally because of other reasons, but no, T-Rebel were paying him a lot of money. I mean, it's just like
that's the thing too. When you realize that,
or G2, like G2 pays the most in the league for the LEC.
Yeah.
I mean, people are not going to go on a G2. Like G2 is the most prestige org in the LEC, and you're going to want to play for them for not only brand recognition but money wise too. G2. I mean, where's Fnatic CEO? I'm pretty sure while watching we were doing the episodes. Remember that Fnatic CEO? He was like, yeah, we spent the most in the off season for last year. They spent. You know what's Wonder cost for them to get $650,000? What Fnatic paid for Wonder? $650,000 for Wonder.
It's like, and that's the thing too. It's like a lot of these players, when they get accolades and they get these
Wonder obviously even decorated top laner, obviously.
Yeah,
multiple championships.
That's why with those situations it becomes harder to you either release him, you get someone cheaper. That's why I was trying to tell you with some of these moves.
It was someday for sure that's what they did it with him.
That's why I'm thinking they had a choice between him and Closer. Who's willing to both of them had a contract. Some days contract was actually up, I believe. Some days contract was the only one that was actually up. He would, because Someday wanted to stay. But
Someday was on his original contract. So he signed in 2018. He was signed until 2020. He re-signed for 2 more years. He was on a lower deal.
That 2022. That's what his contract was going to be up no matter what.
His contract was going to be, he was probably going to ask for the fucking bag. He was going to ask for probably $1 million.
That's why I think it took so long to choose between him and the Closer. That's why I think they put out this speaker, because think about it, Closer was probably up for a re-up. They looked at it and like, okay, whoever asks for more money is the one we have to let go. Because I've seen people leave just because of money, like.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's for a better situation, but it's usually money. It's like
that's why people created super teams, because they can pay the most money. Team Liquid notoriously had a bigger budget than most teams. That's why they had super teams. They had bigger budgets. I mean, they're kind of funded by Disney, but different story, obviously. Like, and you factor in other orgs like Golden Guardians, who are funded by the Warriors. They don't even have good teams. They could pay people the bag. They don't, because they realize this: if you start paying people the bag like that, you can't make your money back for sure. You're just throwing money into a dark hole. And I'm not saying the league is going to die
every time.
Mm-hmm. Because one player is gonna go, well, you gave that guy a lot of money. Why? What about me? You know, start shortchanging me.
Yep.
And you've also fact like some of these orgs, I think they're in the league to be in the league, but they don't see the future of the league. They think the future of the league is not gonna be what it was sold to them originally, and I think that's why they don't spend a lot of money. And to be fair, I wouldn't blame them either, because what's the point of spending a lot of money if you're not going to make playoffs or even go to Worlds? You know?
Yep.
But but that has its own set of issues itself. I'm not saying completely sack the season. Like, at least get competent players to make a season competitive. Like CLG's roster. Competitive. I mean, they're going to go to Worlds or anything, but you know, a competitive roster. Probably super cheap. Yep. All things standard. You know, they're probably all getting paid the standard, the minimum, the industry minimum. They're all getting paid that. I mean, ain't no way you're paying contracts anything more than that. But that's just me. That's how I see it. We're going to go for like another 10 minutes. I'm probably going to go to my other channel and play some League. But yeah, we've had Dash leaving the LCS, Phreak retiring, Esports casters. They want a certain amount of money, guys. But Riot knows that they're the big player in town, and they have such a monopoly on the market that they go like, well, you want more money? I'm cool. I'll just get another guy. I can pay the same amount of money. He'll just do the job. Now, Riot's dumb for that, because just because you can get someone else to do the job doesn't mean they're going to do it as good, but they're not thinking about that. They don't want to pay extra money. They're cheap as fuck. I mean,
that's how companies say the bottom line. You gotta cut costs where you can. It's fucked up.
They'll even hire more people.
Literally, short-term contracts,
right? Mm-hmm. Wait, Amaranth is streaming? What the heck? Short trip to Vegas to get fucked? This guy literally first comment is show boobs and vagina.
Bad. But yeah, that's the fucked up thing about it. Is a lot of times you're looking, you think you're in a good situation, and it's just
are huge.
Like,
what the heck? Why is her tits so big? Is Caitlyn streaming tonight? Probably not.
No, probably. She'll start streaming till 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
12:30.
Last night she was rating Instagrams and doing unban requests. Some of these unban requests are from literal weirdos. Good God. But that's just my thing, guys. I mean, people were, I think other people were asking, well, why don't they switch them out? It's all based around money, right? Doesn't want to pay a certain amount of money for certain people. And in their minds, they don't have to, because in their minds, someone else, you're always replaceable. No matter who you are. You could be Dash. Dash wasn't safe, guys. Dash, of all people, was not safe to these guys.
Nobody's safe. That's the thing. You got to realize. Because you've been there for 10 years. Don't be your ass. And don't forget, most of these things don't come with the retirement plan.
That's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm glad you mentioned this. Holy shit. Being an esports caster, there's no more moving up in the industry. That's it. So you give it mediocre pay, barely any benefits, and you could be swapped out at any period point in time. You could also, and you're also making the same money. So if you do split, then Worlds, you're making the same money. Oh, Lord. God, Riot treats people like such shit.
Yep.
Oh, Lord. And someone's like, but you do get famous off their game. It's like, I guess. Whatever.
You do, but it's at the same time.
I mean, if you want to keep your game, you might need some recognizable faces, though. You know? I'm just saying, and people have to factor in. That's why most casters are not full-time Riot employees. They're freelancers. Freelancers being the fact that I can just pay you whatever, and that's just it. You know? And these guys love the job so much, they'll take that mediocre pay.
But you gotta realize a lot of the freelancers got another job as soon as they leave or they're streaming.
Before that, they didn't even allow them to stream. Before that, they weren't even allowed. Not allowed to stream. They weren't even allowed. I think before 2018 or 2019, casters couldn't even monetize their streams on Twitch. They couldn't monetize their streams. Who the fuck are these people?
Yeah, that's
Riot literally said you cannot monetize your stream. They changed that years ago, like about a few years ago.
Motherfucker had to, because it's like very cool.
Okay, you can't have that much control over someone. That is
it's like one thing. If you don't like, no, I can understand if you don't want me streaming on my channel while like I'm casting, but you tell me I can't. You tell me I buy all. You tell me during the off season I can't even monetize my own. Man, suck my dick. Like you. And you can't have the minute a company gets too much power, that's when you gotta let them you tweak it. But it's
what's up, one villain.
Like,
so you know what the other big fuckery is?
Yeah.
Even if casters have days off, you know what happened that I found out? They can't even co-stream. They don't have co-streaming rights, and they're the casters.
Yep.
So you're telling me that these people at Riot gave Saikuno and another person co-streaming rights, but a caster who's been there for more than 5 years cannot even do it?
You telling me someone who's a guest has more rights than a motherfucker who worked? See,
that's when you start fighting motherfuckers outside. That's when you like get in the street. We're throwing hands.
That's why you be like, "Hey, yo, Phreak, can I talk to you?" And then you just clock them. The minute you get close, you just clock them. It's like
I Will Dominate pointed out on Twitter too. It's like, why wasn't I Will Dominate? And that's a weird fool, but he wasn't allowed to co-stream Worlds. He's been co-streaming all year, casting LPL, doing LEC, LCS, but he wasn't allowed to co-stream the World Finals.
But this Saikuno is.
Who knows not much about League, right?
He hasn't played. He said he hasn't played League like 3 years. I'm like, what? Throw the flag. He said he's played more Yu-Gi-Oh in the last year than League of Legends. I'm like, I wouldn't admit that to after the World Finals.
Oh Lord, it's just yeah, guys. These casters that you've been seeing on the broadcast test, these guys do not get the special treatment that a lot of you guys think they do. Like, you got to factor in, even in a global sense, Riot would rather have people who didn't even really probably fully dive into the LCK, or even watch it enough, than have the actual LCK casters cast the World Finals when it's LCK versus LCK. Remember, that actually happened. They'd rather have people with less knowledge about the LCK cast the World Finals when there's 2 LCK teams in the finals.
I don't even know, man. Stuff like that just like makes me just shake my head and be like, damn.
That's how valuable you are to Riot. You can know a region, cast a region the whole year, narratives, best of 3s that go to like fucking crack of dawn when you're waking up and shit.
Yep.
Shoutcasting, putting all this prep into games. And if that region gets really far at Worlds, you know that you're about as valuable as an NA caster. So what? You've been casting the best region in the world, and you can't even cast the best region in the World Finals to sell the narratives about the teams that have been in the league? Oh, Riot. Oh, no. That's why I always say, fuck. I love League of Legends, but, fuck Riot. That's just so... I can't get behind. That's morally wrong.
Yeah.
So stupid. And they've also squandered a lot of other opportunities, too, guys. This is not the first... I'm just listing off the bare minimum, but there's other opportunities they've squandered, too. They had a Coca-Cola sponsorship that they kind of squandered a long time ago. Not kind of, they did squander it as well. They were going to have esports on ESPN, but they didn't want to give up the broadcasting rights to the intellectual property, so that deal fell through. People said League could be on TV. Yeah, that was going to be a thing, but Riot didn't want to give up the intellectual property, the broadcasting rights. They wanted full creative control. No sharing. No sharing. I don't know why they thought it was sharing, but they're fucking stupid. Whoever runs that division for that company is literally full of retards. I'm sorry. You have to share certain rights because they have to get certain things ready to be on broadcast, but whatever, fuck Riot, whatever. I mean, is the LCS going to die? I mean, I hope not. I mean, I don't want it to die. No one should want the LCS to die at all. You know? No one should want the LCS to die. But I mean, Riot's not showing the fact that they actually, you know, and their actions aren't showing it. I'll say that. But what do you think, man?
Man, the way I look at it is Riot's tweaking, and I mean this in the most respect. I don't like. It's like, yeah, it's.
And then people batted for them. People were like, well, maybe the LCK guys aren't as good enough as the English casters. You can fuck off with that. What the hell? Not good enough, sure. What's their competition? What is Atlas and Wolf's competition in the LCS? Really?
Yeah.
Kobe? I love Kobe. I met him. He's a pretty cool guy. But Kobe really got... Come on, guys. Stop capping. Motherfuckers is capping out there. Competition in the LCS. Even their region gets more viewers. What the hell? What the fuck? It's about the optics of it. It's all about that. That's all that matters, you know? But, you know, we'll be doing, I think the other episode next week will be with Warren. We're going to do the LEC 2023 Winter Split Power Rankings. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I made this episode to let you guys know that, you know, channel's still going. Obviously, I'm dropping episodes as much as I can, given the fact that there's not really much going on. They have this season kickoff tournament that's supposed to be going on starting on the 10th. It'll be a 2-day event where they kick off the season, which is next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. It's basically like super team versus super team for the major regions, actually. I mean, we'll see how that goes. La Tigris. Yeah, La Tigris is their competition. Oh, God, man. Jesus Christ. Well, man, anything else you want to say before we head out, actually?
Nah, man. It's like that when someone gets let go that are good, but you gotta realize, like, these companies have, like, money they have to keep set up, and that's the fucked up thing.
The thing here also is the fact that, you know, people, I don't know, it's the whole way, and all the casters know they get treated like shit, but they don't really ever say anything, you know? Unless it's like something big, like the whole Andrew Tate situation, and that's like their one opportunity to say something. That's like their one opportunity to say something because they know that they can't do it. I mean, in any other scenario otherwise. And then if you kind of talk shit about Riot, oh my God. And if you talk shit about Riot and they find out, you know what they do? They blacklist you. They fire you. I mean, they're just... These people at the top are just so rotten. But I mean, hey, that's what you want to subject yourselves to. I respect all the casters. I do, you know, for amount of dedication they put into the game and their time and their prep. But you got to fight. There should be a caster union to fight for better wages. But we have a player association, and look how well that's actually done. You know, the player association is terrible. I mean, that's just been trash, you know. But all right, guys, if you guys are watching on the replay, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Peace. Everyone. See you guys next week.